Tab might get you through a song, but it won't get that song in you. And there's a difference. If you ever learned a song or bass line with tabs, you looked away from the screen and suddenly you can't remember what's next. Listen, you are not alone, and you probably don't have a memory problem. You got a mapping problem. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. If you've been using tab to learn songs, but you can't play the song when the screen goes away, this video is for you. My name is Ted, and I talk bass. I've been helping bass players just like you make sense of this instrument since 2007, and this is one of the most common things I see both in person and online. Players who can follow directions, but they don't really know where they are. They know where to put their fingers, but they don't really know the song. And once you understand the difference, everything starts changing, right? So here's the thing about tab. Tab shows you where to put your fingers, and that's it. It doesn't automatically teach you what you're hearing. It doesn't teach you the form. It doesn't teach you the groove. It doesn't teach you, what the drummer is doing. It doesn't teach you what the vocals are doing. It doesn't teach you how that bass line works. And that's important because a lot of players think that learning a song really just means like learning just the bass part, right? It's not the same thing. Your hands learn positions, but your ears never really learn the music, and eventually that becomes a problem. Let me ask you something. Could you tell me the last song you tried to learn? Do you know where the chorus starts? Could you tell me what section comes after that? Can you tell me the root movement? Can you sing the bass line? Do you know the lyrics? If the answer is no, then you really don't know the song, right? You just learn parts of it, and you learned how to follow a set of directions. When the tab disappears, you got nothing. When the chart disappears, you got nothing. And that's because it's like Google Maps. Now look, I like Google Maps. I use it all the time. But have you ever driven somewhere and you still couldn't tell somebody how to get there? That's because the GPS was doing all the work. You weren't paying attention to the neighborhood. You weren't paying attention to landmarks, right? You weren't paying attention to that corner store. You weren't paying attention to the church. And if you're from New Orleans like I am, you weren't paying attention to the pothole that should have a Social Security and a city job by now, right? You just got there, but you never really learned how to get there. And that's what happens with tab. You learn how to get through a song, but you never really learn the song. Music is different, man. Music is a conversation. There's no tabs on the bandstand, no tabs at the jam session, right? So there's definitely no tab when somebody says, hey, let's take the chorus again, or let's vamp this section, or, let's do the verse again, right? At some point, you just have to know where you are, and not because you're memorizing, not because you have, some shapes, not because you're thinking about the tab, but because you understand the landscape, you understand the neighborhood. And here's the thing, every neighborhood has certain things in common, right? So suburban neighborhoods feel like suburban neighborhoods. Urban neighborhoods feel like urban neighborhoods. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. You start recognizing patterns, you start recognizing landmarks and how things are organized. Music works exactly the same way. Songs have structure, they have landmarks. Songs have places where things repeat, where things change. And once you start listening to those things, learning songs and retaining songs becomes a whole lot easier. So the next time you go to learn a song, I want you to try what I'm about to show you, and then come back and let me know in the comments if it helped. All right. So there's 4 steps. Step 1, learn the map. Listen before you even touch the bass. What's the intro? What's the verse? What is the guitar player doing? Is it single note lines? Do they work with the bass line? Or are they working contrary to the bass line, right? What are the changes, right? If you stop that song halfway through, do you know where you are? So the first job is to listen critically, right? Figure out what that map is. Figure out what the landmarks are, right? Then try to find home. What's the root movement? What's the foundation? What notes are holding that whole thing together? If everything fell apart, would you be able to survive? Would you be able to hold it together? So when you know where home is, everything else starts to make more sense. Then I want you to learn the rhythmic groove, the motif. Not all the notes, just the rhythm. Can you clap it? Can you sing it? Can you play the rhythm on one note? Because if you can sing it, you got a much better chance of remembering it. All right. Now, after that, add those little details, the ghost notes, the fills, those little cool things that made you want to play that song in the first place. All right. A lot of people will start with the details, but the blue collar bassists, the working musicians, the ones I know at least, and I know this is for me, they start with the foundation. And, you know, you got to learn it in chunks. Learn 2 measures at a time, right? Don't try to eat the whole elephant at one time. 2 measures. Own those 2 measures and then move on. Before you move on, put that tab away. If you can't play it without looking at something, then you're not ready to move on yet. All right. So that's not losing, that's learning. Real quick, I wrote a guide called the Conversational Bassist, and it's for bass players who know some scales, you know some patterns, you know some theory, probably even more theory than you think you do, but you still can't get it together when the music starts. It's about learning to play music like a language. It's $9, link below. Check it out after this video. All right, so let me show you a little bit about how this works. And I'm gonna use a small part of what I played in the beginning. Now, you may recognize that as Higher Ground, the Red Hot Chili Peppers version. But as you probably already know, that's a Stevie Wonder song. The Stevie Wonder version is in E flat. The Chili Peppers version is in E. And depending on who you're playing with, you could get either one. Sometimes you'll get a mix of both. It happens all the time for me. So nobody stops in the rehearsal and says, you know, let me get my tabs out, right? So, you know, a lot of time in my experience, most of the singers that I play with, they'll want to play Higher Ground, but they want the energy of the Chili Peppers version, but they want also it to be in the Stevie Wonder key, and they want to have some of those soul funk elements as well. So I'm not playing Flea's exact rhythms and doing everything exactly the way that he's doing, but the framework of it is there. There's E, right? Now, I play 5-string most of the time, and this is one of those reasons, because a lot of the time I play with a lot of soul and R&B artists. A lot of that music will be in flat keys, so I don't like to tune down. What do I recognize? There's a minor pentatonic sound. I recognize the rhythm. I recognize that there's octaves. I recognize I have brand new strings on that are doing the brand new string thing, right? But recognizing those bits of vocabulary, that's huge. But because a lot of bass players try to learn every note first, right? It's hard to get. So I try to understand the whole song first, and then try to get those little bits of information, you know, running through that checklist I shared with you earlier. So here's a big takeaway. Tab is a tool. It's not necessarily a tool that I use, but if you use it, use it. Find the notes, then put that away and learn the song. All right. That's the shift from following a map or the GPS to actually knowing the neighborhood. And once you start making that shift, everything changes, right? How you hear music, how you remember music, how you learn songs, and how you play with other musicians. It changes how you show up when everything starts, right? Because when the train leaves the station, we going, right? When you get those things, you're not just following a set of instructions, you're actually participating in the conversation. If this video helped you, hit that like button because it helps other bass players just like you find this channel. And if you are ready for a full system, that's exactly what the language of bass is built around. Learning songs faster, building musical vocabulary, playing with more confidence, and becoming less dependent on charts, tabs, and diagrams. And the link is below. If you want to start smaller, start with the Conversational Bassist. It's the same philosophy, same approach. You can start today. Remember, it ain't rocket science. It's pocket science. Peace.